I think that most of what you see Lemmer do is Taj, and a lot of it is him pushing that darkness and the goth thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He and I had a lot of fun during those times. We saw a lot of music
Mm-hmm.
together, a lot of live music, and I miss that guy. And I'm not sure what happened with he and I personally. Uh, you grow apart as human beings. But you
Yeah.
watch his stuff, man, and it's so good. And all the more reason that it was a shame that they got rid of him. Like, why get rid of him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a strange thing, you know?
It's so
Yeah.
bizarre. Yeah.
Gentlemen, synchronize swatches. Not a problem.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you wanted to touch on the third season. I mean, we've mentioned it a couple of times, and as Chip and I, if you've watched, you may have heard us say like neither one of us remembers much of it.
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of episodes just to dip my toe in.
Me too.
And it's different, obviously. So I mean, do you you have your we've asked everybody about it. We asked Melanie about it the other day, and she was a little bit less aggressively. What do I want to say? Critical of it, I guess.
Yeah.
She wasn't quite as critical of it, but how do you feel about the third season?
Well,
I guess
they still wrote some really great stuff for her.
Yeah.
First of all, what a magical woman to
Yeah.
get to witness do her thing. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
she is so not like Musso, as you probably saw from speaking to her,
yeah,
that even now like watching your thing and watching her do it. I'm like, wow, man. Nobody could get away. You could get away with that on SNL maybe now, but not on
Yeah.
a regular show.
Yeah.
I mean, Sofia Vergara is not doing Miss Musso.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Third season, so they still wrote some good stuff for her. It's like this. It's like, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about it being an 80s remix show.
Mhm.
The end of the second season, they had a creature that was very full of joy and bursting at the seams with potential. And too many people wanted to. The other guy said this as well. It's too many cooks in the kitchen, if I can just get to the cliche. And that's how show business is. I mean, I think you still see that probably more than ever, to be honest with you. And we were lucky to last as long as we did. I had some fun stuff to do in that last season still. You'll probably have to remind me of what it was. But I do remember. I'll tell you what I remember most about the third season was Kubiac wasn't in it as much. And at that point, I had become friends with our assistant directors who do all the scheduling and all of that. And so I had worked it out where Kubiac usually only worked either Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday on an episode so that I could go surf and explore the beaches
Oh, nice.
all the other days.
Yeah.
Yeah, because once you're done with your work for the episode, you don't
Yeah.
they don't need you again until next Monday or whatever.
Yeah.
So because there was less of the fantasy element of the show, there was less Kubiak, and that's okay. That's the show has to evolve.
Yeah.
I laugh because one of our writers, I don't know if he did more than one episode, maybe two episodes, a guy named David Silverman, who actually became one of the very big honchos on The Simpsons over the 35, 40 years that's been on the air. And
Yeah.
I personally can't keep up with pop culture like that anymore to make every
Yeah.
Simpsons joke funny for me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I kind of feel that way about Parker Lewis. There was some stuff there were jokes in the third season that were based on things that I was not aware of.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Put it
That
that way.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I've watched maybe two right now, and I do not remember it from when I was a kid. Like, especially when we started this too, Chris mentioned he's like, well, Frank's not in the third season. I'm like, what? I was like, I don't even remember episodes without Frank.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was like, have I even seen season 3? And then when I watched the first one of season 3, and then a random one in there, and I mean, I know Corin said, it was like. It was the suits. It was it was Fox like saying we want it to be, yeah. we want it to be more like was it Beverly Hills 90210, and it's like,
Yeah.
but that's a totally different show. Like,
Different show.
Yeah.
and we want to tone it down and remove Frank, and they lost Jerry's jacket. It's like everything that was the show. It just like it feels like a different show now. Like, why not just start another show? Like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, it's interesting. Like the way you framed it a second ago about describing the show as a remix of the '80s. That's missing from the third season. Like when you said that, and I started thinking about it just for a second. I was like, that's what it is. It's not an '80s remix show anymore. It's a '90s show at that point, or a '90s teen show. You know, that's that's really
great.
it's interesting.
That's exactly right, Chris.
Yeah, it's a hell of a framing.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's okay too. It's Corin hit on it. It's a bummer they didn't finish out the 80 episodes or whatever we needed for syndication.
Yeah.
That would have been lovely. But it still runs in Europe places, which I'll still get residuals, and I'm like, God damn, it's still on in Belgium at 2 a.m. or some shit.
Who are we to play God with the kid's life?
There is a thing called the upfronts, which is the television networks used to, at the beginning of the year, would announce their upcoming schedule for the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And so they take all the horses from the stables, which is the actors of their shows, and they parade them in front of the advertisers and paparazzi and whatever. It's a promotional event, right? Big event. Mm-hmm. It's always in New York, or it used to be back in the day. And so I think they took Corin, Troy, and myself, and we were there with the other Fox casts of that time. And so after we had finished our publicity obligations, Corin and I went out with, God, I'm going to name drop. What fun. We went out in the limo into the night with Ian Ziering and the little guy who was the lead of 90210, who I don't know why his name's escaping me. I love that guy. Because the story's so bizarre.
Jason Priestley? Are we talking about Jason Priestley?
Jason Priestley.
Okay.
Yes. Wonderful man.
Yeah.
Doesn't work enough. He should.
That's true.
You guys would be really brave to do a 90210.
Yeah.
There's one redeeming thing about 90210. They had the Cramps. They had the Cramp, and that's not the girls. They had the band.
The band.
Oh, right. Okay.
On their Halloween episode once. Anyway,
Yeah. Love the Cramps.
what was I talking about before the Cramps?
Upfronts.
The upfronts. Yeah, the upfronts.
Upfronts.
Yeah,
My God. All right.
Ian
So
Ziering.
Jason Priestley, Ian Ziering, Corky and I are out in New York. It's 3 a.m. We go into this bar. It's in the basement of an old Italian restaurant, and it is full of Goodfellas. It is a mafia bar, like out of a movie.
Yeah.
And we get recognized, and this fucking mafia dude is like slipping me his phone number. He's like, yeah, we love the show. You gotta come, you want to come into New York, you gotta call us and we'll take care of you, no problem. Anything you need. It's like, I'm 20, right?
Yeah.
I'm 20 years old from Indiana, where there's nothing like that. That was bizarre. I had at one time, I had kept a lot of shit like that, like we all do. And I had that little scrap of paper with the mafia guy's number on it, the 212.
Hey, you never know when it'll come in handy.
You never know. But all my paperwork got ruined in a flood, which is for the best. No, it's for the best. That reminds me, when I come back, when I come back, we're gonna
definitely.
When I come back to guest on your 90210 podcast.
You're co-hosting that one, man.
Yeah. If we're eating fish, you're doing the goddamn podcast.
There you go. That's how you that's negotiation.
Yeah, man.
That's Hollywood style. Yeah, the mafia thing, that was a crazy time. It's just, they took us to this restaurant called Balthazar, which was like the richest rich place I'd ever been in my life. It was different, man. It was a different time. A, they don't really treat the kids that way anymore. And B, to be 20 years old and really get all those perks was magic. My friend Josh, who was also in the background on the show, and I had gone to New York to go to the Beastie Boys Tibetan Freedom concert, and we went to some club in Soho, and they let he and I in before Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wow.
Because the bouncers were these two big black dudes, and they fucking watched Parker Lewis, man.
Yeah. We don't know who this other kid is. Let these guys in.
No, he was laying low or whatever.
Yeah.
Those guys all hung out. You know, Corin knew all those guys. That was a very tight group of Hollywood schnoos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did a lot of graffiti and stuff back in the day
He did,
too, right?
and I'm actually surprised that he didn't talk to you guys more about that. He's a very talented graffiti artist.
Yeah, I mean, I we follow him on Instagram. I've seen all his his posts. Like, yeah, he's amazing. So, well, I think, yeah, he talked so much. Like, I feel like we had tons of questions that, like, by the time he had to go, like, we're like, oh, we still got questions for him, but we'll definitely have him back too, though, man.
Yeah,
it was a blast talking to him.
You know, it's funny. You're like, oh, we're so weird that you guys want to talk to us. I'm like, yeah, none of us are doing anything. You still want to know about this? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I know a commercial break is a long time, but you've got to try and remember.
You mentioned going to a lot of concerts with Taj.
Yeah.
We found a dubious piece of info. I think it was on the Wikipedia, right, Chris?
It's
we want to ask you, were you and Taj Johnson roadies for No Doubt?
Yes, and it is my fault that this is out there, and people always ask me this. It was on the B-roll for the Shout Factory DVDs that we did. So Taj Taj was friends with a lot of people. He grew up in Beverly Hills. His mom sang with Bob Marley, and his dad was a horn player, one of the guys who played on Van Morrison and Paul Butterfield Blues Band, all these old classic rock. So Taj was connected to a lot of people, and the skating world, the art world, and he just knew what was hip and happening in town. Man, we went and saw a bunch of different bands. This is how dedicated we are. You guys might have to look this up, but Taj and I went to see the Booyah Tribe, which was a Tongan hip hop gang.
Okay.
That shit was fire. But yes, so he was friends with those kids from No Doubt. I do know why, actually. There was a guy named Charlie Bean who was an animator on Ren and Stimpy, who was friends with the brother who had started No Doubt, the Stefani brother. I can't remember his first name. Yeah. But he also was an animator who wound up going to work for Kricfalusi and the Ren and Stimpy gang.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do a Ren and Stimpy podcast with you anytime.
Oh, that'd be great.
That's my shit. And so we would go and see them, and Taj and I are actually in the video for their very first video, which I think is a song called Trapped in the Box. We're back in there dancing around. And so they had their first like California tour. And I think we did 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 cities up the middle and back down the coast. And every show they had a bigger and bigger and bigger audience, and they got better and better and better. And I went home for Christmas and I was like, you guys have to hear about this band, No Doubt. And next year was Just a Girl, or a year later or something like that. Right? And super fun. That was like the dream, right? That's the dream. You want to get in a VW bus and drive your band's gear up the coast and play gigs every other night or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So fun.
Nice. So that was a hiatus between seasons, or when did you guys do this?
Yeah, that must have been either between the first and second, or the second and third season. Yes. I'm guessing that's between the second and third, because we probably didn't know. No, it has to be between the first and second, because between the second and third I had gone to do a football movie.
You have any favorite behind the scenes stories, like from set? Anything to stick out?
About our show, I do, but it's more fun to tell you the stories about what was going on at Sony Columbia while we were there. The first thing that comes to mind is the movie Hook was shooting there.
Okay.
And so they had built this immense fantasy forest in a soundstage, and I would walk by that every morning, and it's pirates practicing their swords, and here's Dustin Hoffman in this giant coat with an air conditioning tube attached to it. Oh, and there's Robin Williams just coming out of the makeup trailer. I'm like, hey, Mr. Williams, I love your work. And he's like, thanks, man. So there was that. Bram Stoker's Dracula was shooting there while we were there. And in between setups, Winona Ryder would come over and play poker in Corin's trailer.
Oh.
Wow.
You guys don't misconstrue that now. He's dirty minds. No, a lot. He had a lot of visitors. Man, so many things. I stole a chair. I stole a lazy boy chair from there.
Oh, lazy boy.
Maybe I shouldn't say that.
The statute of limitations, I think. We'll talk to Troy, but I think the statute of limitations.
He mentioned that. Good. That's probably why my brain let me say that to you. No, I had this great It wasn't. I didn't have a trailer. I think only maybe Corky and Billy, maybe Troy had a trailer. Maybe Billy and Troy shared a trailer, which would have been a bummer for either one of them. But I had this shack, right? So the actors, the sort of second tier actors, or wherever the tier is, it was like a brown shack on rolling wheels, so they could move it on the lot wherever they needed to house the actors. And one of these times, I showed up, and somebody more diva-ish than me had been in there, and they had requested a special chair, which was like, is this a boring story? This can be good for the podcast?
Yeah,
it was like an orange velvet chair that had probably, who knows who sat on this chair, right? Like, this is some Hollywood chair from the prop department at Columbia Pictures. This might be a Clark Gable farted on this chair kind of thing, right? So I stole it. And on the last night, when we wrapped the show, I had bought this Bronco, because in the 90s we were encouraged to buy giant gas-guzzling cars. So I bought this Bronco, and my friend Mike, who again you'll see him as the bald skater dude on the show, he and I are like trying to cram this chair into the back of the Bronco. Oh yeah, it's mine. I brought it.
Yeah.
It's really just silly kid stuff.
What other props did you steal?
Yeah. God, it's funny. I stole thank God for the statute of limitations, honestly. I'm pretty bad about this. I stole a whole light. It's called a Baby. I want to say it's a 40,000 watt spotlight. Anyway, I was an amateur photographer, and I was like, I need one of those stage lights. So I stole a light. I had all the gels. They're not cheap. That shit was expensive back then. And
you're like, I need gear. There's gear here. I'm just gonna take it.
Gear. Yeah,
it's my gear. Coob's gear.
Just write Coob's gear on it. Like, that's mine.
With the accented R gear.
Larry's gear.
Man, I went
Larry's
to,
light. Oh God.
Larry's light. That's a new song. I want you to write the song Larry's Light between now and the next time we talk.
Now I'd like to call your attention to a mistake in the program for this evening.
As far as like when you go out and get recognized, who do you think what of your characters do you think you get recognized most? Do you get recognized as Coob a lot, or from others, ER? What do people really like? Oh, you're the dude from.
A lot of times it's just, oh, I know you're from something. I don't know what it is, but
okay,
right, you're that dude. That's very common. Here's how I break it down. When I get recognized, if it's a middle-aged white lady, that's an ER fan. If it's a big frat boy, that's a fan of the program. If it is an older white dude, that's a fan of Open Range. And if it's a big black dude, that's a fan of Parker Lewis. For real. Troy touched on this. Everybody our age was watching In Living Color.
Oh yeah,
no question.
Yeah.
And he was so tender about it, saying, but we have a large black audience.
Yeah.
I was in Vancouver shooting something else, and I was standing in line to get into a club, and this big white limo pulls up, black glass goes down on a giant black man's head with gold teeth and a gold chain. That's that motherfucker from Parker Lewis Can't Lose right there. Yes, I am.
I'm that motherfucker.
Shit was good, dude. It's insane to me. And I love that because In Living Color was so good. The fact that anybody remembers what was on before it is very flattering in my opinion.
Yeah. Everybody knows Koob. Yeah, I mean, like, I remember when you first started on ER, I was like, it's Kubiac. I mean, like, if for better or for worse, it's like, you're always going to be Kubiac in my head, you know? I also remember you, this is kind of a weird, obscure cut, but I remember you, a recurring role you had on Wings.
Mm-hmm.
You played R.J. Biggins, Roy Biggins' son. I'm a huge Wings fan, Cheers and Wings fan too. So I definitely Kubiac and R.J. Like that's that's how you occupy my brain.
That's fine. Both of those I'm very proud of both of those guys. The great thing about the R.J. Biggins role is it's an early gay character coming out early in the history of television. I mean, and I do get recognized for that a lot. I had a great time on that show, and in fact, it was because of those guys that I got the job on Parker Lewis. I had done that first episode of Wings, maybe like the third or fourth job I had done when I got out here, and it was Thomas Hayden Church and Steven Weber who had gone to the casting director, a woman named Meg Lieberman, and they said, hey, we have this big guy on our show, you should see him. And she brought me in, and that's actually it was because of those two guys that I think the Parker Lewis ball started rolling.
Okay, nice. Wow. Yeah. Work begets work, man.
It's community, right?
Yeah.
Like
that makes sense.
They always tell us it's not what you know, it's who you know, but they don't explain that what that means is if you build your community and you stay involved and you foster cooperation, that's how you get to know who you know.
Oh yeah.
That's how you get stuff done.
Yeah.
Let me throw a question at you that my child gave me. I told her last night, I'm going to be talking to Kubiac from Parker Lewis. She sat and watched a little bit of a couple episodes. The first time she said, this show is very 90s. It's like, well, it's from
now you can correct her. It's actually a remix of the 80s.
Actually, sweetie, it's a remix of the 80s. Let me break it down for you. So, her question was, do you have a dog or a pet?
Yes. I have 2 dogs, and if you give me a second, I'll get one. This is Nora. Hi. She's a French bulldog. She's 6. And then
Beautiful.
Yeah, she's adorable.
Starstruck.
This is her daughter, Coco.
Aw.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on camera, Dad.
Coco's 3. We rescued Coco from Utah during COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very sweet
But
pups.
that's my kids.
They're adorable.
Well, thank you for sharing them.
But that's the kind of thing we want to know, right? Like, what's the point of doing this if we don't get to know each other?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I just, again, what I would say is I'm astonished and grateful that something that I had just a fingertip in is still appreciated by good people in the world like yourselves. It means a lot to actors to be recognized whether they admit it or not, and to be appreciated. I think that's why we do what we do. Yeah. So thank you guys, and to anybody who winds up watching this, thank you. And
well, thank you. Like, we appreciate you coming in and taking the time, and hopefully this is just the beginning of many appearances.
Penny, for your thoughts?
I have good stuff coming up. I have a nice little thing in Rust, which is the Alec Baldwin movie that went through all that terribleness.
Yeah.
And that's out actually on Friday.
Oh, okay.
In theaters, briefly. And I'm sure it'll be on demand wherever you like to do that. And then I look like this because I last year did the NFL Hallmark Christmas mashup, which was called A Holiday Touchdown, which was the Kansas City Chiefs environment about Chiefs fans at Christmas.
Okay, gotcha.
So this year we're doing the Buffalo Bills.
So
I still have my Santa Claus beard.
Yeah, I noticed.
And
I was
I'm
telling
basically
Chip.
just going to play Santa Claus for the rest of my career.
I was gonna say I was telling Chip before we got on here. I was looking at Abe's IMDb, and he's played Santa 3 times. Once a killer Santa, and the other 2 times.
Oh man,
crazy.
if you guys like old school, low budget horror movies, Christmas Bloody Christmas is super fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super fun.
When he brought that up, I was like, oh, I got to watch this. How I have not seen this.
We'll do it. We can do it at Christmas if you guys want to do a watch through of that.
There you go.
That'd be super fun. We get the girl too.
Yeah.
Get
Sweet.
Riley.
Oh, dude, that would be great.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
You guys turn this into a whole thing. It doesn't have to just be Parker Lewis. Maybe it's not over. Maybe it's not over.
It can have a life beyond it. Yeah.
You know, you like I said, you guys are brave men. The fact that you're rewatching a 30-year-old show it's you know, it's brave. I think what I love about it the most is that it's good for the two of you. Like, it's great. If somebody winds up watching Parker Lewis, great. But honestly, I love that it's making the two of you interact and communicate.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, man. Yeah. It's true, because like you know, Chip's been out there for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now, I guess, and you know, there were periods of time where we would interact like 3 times a year maybe, and it's we've always been the kind of friends where like you could just you don't see each other for 4 months, and then when you hang out, it's like no time has passed. So it's never been like a thing, but. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's, you know, we were talking about that before you popped on here, is just how much we're enjoying doing this project and having a thing to do and something to work on, and the daily reels and all that. You know, I really thrive on routine as a person. So like the daily posting of those reels and trying to come up with something to put on them and tagging the people. And, you know, the whole project has been a blast. And it's, you know, I feel very fortunate that we have a mutual enjoyment of this show and that we are able to do something like this. I'm amazed that it hasn't happened already, frankly. I mean, just looking before we started looking it up, I was like, I cannot believe in this environment with this many podcasts that, you know, it's not like this show is not known by anybody, you know, it's not like, you know, I mean, people know it, but it's amazing to me that people have done one-offs, you know, and a few of them have reached out to us, but but
not a full-blown rewatch podcast. We're like, oh, let's jump in there. Let's do it.
No, you guys are crazy. And honestly, like, I hope, I believe, and I also hope that you will have some of us back on again when you're in the middle of the third season. And you're like, what is
especially
this fucking bullshit, man?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we extend this offer to everybody, but like, if you ever want to come back on and like if you have like a favorite episode that's coming up, you know, like we could schedule and we like the 3 of us will rewatch it, do our recap, and then we jump on the 3 of us and just bullshit about the fucking episode.
Totally.
We would love to do a recap with you, man.
Yeah,
that would be so much fun.
I would be very happy to do that. You guys might have to pick the episode because, like I said, in my brain, I know I had a great episode. And maybe this
addled brain.
Actually, yeah, exactly. Actually, this is maybe the way to save season 3 for the podcast.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I may be wrong about when this episode occurs, but if I'm not, there is a Beauty and the Beast episode with Coob and Annie, probably called or Beauty and the Coob.
Yeah.
Something like that.
My brother's a dead man.
My friend Jerry said you guys were going to do something really neat today.
What other props did you steal?